Welcome to the SweetGeorgia Show. I am your host, Felicia Lo from SweetGeorgia and also the School of SweetGeorgia. And today we are welcoming Star Athena, a very influential voice and a multicraftual in the handmade world, known for her design work in the past and also her very community-focused spirit. Now, as the original visionary and founder of the global Tour de Fleece event, she has connected and inspired countless spinners and created a community that spins together every year all across the world. So today I'm very excited to have this conversation with Star. So welcome to the show, Star. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's fun to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to finally get to sort of sit down and have a proper chat and conversation with you, because I know that I had met you, I feel like it's been several years now. I met you in the School of SweetGeorgia, I believe, on various Zoom meetings. We do some co-working meetings and things like that where everybody comes to hang out and make things together. And I always remember that you had a crochet project. You introduced me to the idea of doing Tunisian crochet. You showed all sorts of like very inspiring crochet projects. And I had a sense that you did some multicraftual projects and things like that, but I hadn't met you before, so I didn't really know very much about you. And I did not realize that you had this very like decades and decades long experience in the fiber arts world and doing multiple different crafts and all the ways that you've been involved. So I'm wondering if you can kind of share from sort of the beginning how you got involved in some of these fiber arts crafts and a little bit about your history here.
Great. Okay, yes. I started, everyone kind of has a similar, I started a long time ago. I learned to knit originally when I was around 9. My grandmother taught me. And then I've been doing that off and on for a long time. I got really serious about knitting in my 20s. And then I learned how to crochet then also. And then I was always very crafty though, just in general, like just growing up, I was interested in everything. If there was a craft I was in, I was very interested. I would do whatever craft came my way. And then, I tried sewing. I was always more interested in hand sewing than machine sewing, but I had a machine and but everything was always DIY. I learned to do everything myself. I took 0 classes and all of my crafts were a little wonky, I think, because of it. But and I played music. I taught myself music as well. And I had that same energy of just, you just do it yourself. You figure it out. And I was in a band. Everybody was self-taught. And that always made sense to me, that energy. And spinning was the same way. I can't even remember how I picked up on spinning, but it was through knitting and getting really, really serious about knitting. And when I say serious, I mean it was very silly, but serious in that it was like a mono interest. I was hyper fixated on knitting at some point in my late 20s. And I think I just, through blogs and Craftster. Do you remember that website? Craftster? Yes. I saw people were spinning yarn and that became really interesting to me. And I went to I had been living in the Northwest forever. And then I moved to Los Angeles for work and I went to a craft show in Los Angeles, which I was shocked that there was one. I went with a girlfriend and we bought drop spindles and completely the wrong ones. And instead of talking to the people selling them and saying, hey, we want to learn how to spin, can you recommend a drop spindle? We just picked the prettiest one. We were like, ooh, these are nice. They weighed like 10 pounds. We bought the heaviest. They were so pretty and beautiful and super heavy. Took them home. Drop, spin, drop, spin. They hit the ground 400 times. But I was just so into it. And then, and I had a blog going. It's called Keep On Knitting in the Free World. .blogspot.com. And I was getting traction there. And so then I got into dyeing fiber and yarn with Kool-Aid and Wilton's cake dyes, doing that in a microwave. But also I had this really old stove. I'm just kind of like monologuing. You can stop me at any time. I had this stove that was like 100 years old, and it was always hot on top, just like really hot. And so I could dye yarn and stuff, just keeping it on top of could just put it on top of my stove and go to work and come home, and the yarn would be dyed, just sitting on top. And again, just like food coloring and Kool-Aid and stuff. So I wrote a blog post about that, and that just sort of blew up. That got like 1 million hits. It was just huge. And I misspelled dyeing. I spelled it like when you exit this mortal coil. And I did a copy paste error, and I know how to spell dye. And there had a lot of comments like, you misspelled dye. And I know that, but it amused me that it was dyeing. Something about it just amused me, and I never fixed it because I thought it was funny. And anyway, it's still up there. And for a while I used to check through the analytics, that people were hitting it. And during the Obama administration, the White House hit that dyeing tutorial. And I like to think that Michelle and the girls dyed yarn with Kool-Aid, but that's just in my head. Anyway, so then I started, and I just, made my own patterns because I always did everything myself, very self-taught. So I was doing that. I published my first pattern was published in knitty.com, which I know you interviewed.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Amy. Amazing. Who was like a hero of mine. And so that was really exciting. It was a pattern of washcloths with 6 of them said study and 1 of them said party. And they were like different stitch patterns on them. That was fun. And then, I don't know, I just kept publishing patterns that was brand new. By then, like brand new Ravelry was, early adopting Ravelry, and I did that. Okay. Also, I got an opportunity to be there was a TV show called Nitty Gritty. And
yes,
I was on that. That was fun. Do you remember that?
Nitty Gritty. I never got a chance to watch the show, but that is with Vicky Howell, is it not?
Yes, Vicky Howell.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was her first TV show. And I remember we couldn't get it here in Canada.
Oh, no.
But I heard that there was this TV show out there. Yeah, Nitty Gritty. That's awesome.
Having a knitting TV show just felt like we made it, guys. There was like the Stitch and Bitch book. We had knitty.com. We had Ravelry. And now we have a TV show. Like, we're going mainstream. Yeah. And I was invited to be on that. And that felt really exciting. And then, so let's talk about then how Tour de Fleece happened. This was 2006, and I had gotten a wheel. So I bought it. I'd been watching many of them on eBay, and it took about 6 months to find. I had a price in mind. I was looking at Louet S10, the single treadle. This was in my price range, and I like the minimalist. I had done some research, and at that time in my life, I was attracted to the minimalist style of the wheel, and the upkeep seemed within my wheelhouse. I didn't want to do a lot of oiling and maintenance, and it was just a good entry-level wheel, it seemed to me. Again, self-taught. I don't know anything. There's no classes. There's nothing. No books, I was watching eBay, a lot of them, I was losing. And then finally I just hit it. I got a really amazing deal on one, shipped from the Netherlands, came to me. This is 2005. And I got the wheel. My parents were visiting. They lived in Hawaii. They came, and by coincidence, my dad helped me assemble it. And I was off to the races, and it was great. And my, handspun looked like dog business, as it should when you first start spinning. And then I just kind of got the rhythm of it. I fell in love. I only knew one style of spinning. Like, I had my left hand really close to the orifice and my right hand kind of really far away. And I just taught myself, and the yarn was great. It was all, and I just had two, I'd get two bobbins going and I'd ply them together. Everything was barber pole, kind of worsted to bulky weight yarn, every skein. Most of it dyed with Kool-Aid. And then I started buying roving. There was this amazing woman, I don't remember her name. She eventually passed away. She was already pretty old back then. And she had this beautiful blend, my favorite blend of fiber. It was Merino Targhee Rambouillet. And she sold like white, but she also would hand dye it with her grandson. And the colors were always just the best, like wild colors. And whenever I saw her at an event, I would just buy all of it that I could afford. Anyway, and so I would occasionally get that, but I didn't know anything about fiber prep, so I would just spin straight from the roving. I just kind of tear it into strips and just spin it. And I also was into cycling. Again, I'm just kind of like talking nonstop. You stop me whenever you want.
No, I think it's interesting. I think we both learned to spin around the same time. Like I picked it up in around 2005 as well. And very similar, because that whole time and that whole world back then, like a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people were blogging about it, taking pictures of it. I remember one of the most intriguing and the most beautiful yarns that were being made that I could find online were like Hello Yarn.
Hello Yarn, yes.
Yarn. And she was dyeing all this fiber and she would spin it into this 2-ply or 3-ply that was like spongy and poofy and colorful, so colorful. And like you were mentioning, the barber pole, that just brings me back to the aesthetic of that kind of yarn. And it was just, it was really fun, really DIY. You were mentioning about how like everything is so DIY in that Craftster forum. I do remember getting a similar huge, heavy spindle, drop spindle to learn to spin with. And the first book that I got on how to spin was a paper photograph, a photocopied zine. It was just like a piece of, I don't know, 4 pieces of paper photocopied and then stapled together in the middle. And it had hand-drawn illustrations of how to use a drop spindle and how to ply from it. But it just seems like that's what it was back then. And of course, like now we have so many tools and so much information and so many teachers and so much knowledge and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I very much started at the same time. So I remember all of the things that you're saying, they just really trigger a lot of memories for me, like really good memories for sure.
Really good memories. Yeah. I really could have used that zine at that time.
I probably still have it. I'll have to go dig it out and find it. It's like lime green on the outside, hand-drawn illustrations on the inside.
It's so good. I used to sell some of my hand spun on Etsy. Like, I can't even believe I did that. Like, it's wild. Yeah, and some of the art, I was interested in some of the art yarns that people were posting. I tried some of that, like coils, and I would experiment. And I put weird stuff in my yarn. I'd put like, what could I put in my yarn? And I would experiment. I don't know if you did that too. I would experiment with, I'd string up beads or pearl. I can't believe I sold this. I had real pearls that I strung into yarn, and I dyed yarn the color of the Tiffany box. And I plied the Tiffany yarn with pearls, and I sold it.
That's
I wish
incredible.
I had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild tinsel from a Christmas tree. I did a Christmas yarn. I would just see random stuff, and I'll put that into the yarn and see what would work.
Yeah, there was definitely a time when all of that was happening. There was a lot of textured art yarns and things like that. And I remember JC Boggs, a lot of her initial yarn sort of came out of that time as well.
That's right. I was inspired by, these are all the people I was inspired by, for sure. And the Louette S10 could handle it. The orifice is big on that wheel, and it could just go on through. And if it didn't, I would just kind of make it. It was great. It would just go through. Yeah. And so then I just started thinking, I was really into cycling. I rode a bicycle, and not great, but occasionally. But I also was interested in the Tour de France. I used to like it, and I watched it for many years. And I used to participate in knit-alongs, and I had this thought, like, they spin, we spin. What if there was a spin along? Like, we could do knit-alongs, we could do a spin along. And so I just posted about it on the blog, and I thought, hey, I invited people to, I thought maybe this time I would look at it, because I haven't really thought about it in so long. It's almost 20 years now. This is 2006. And I said, hey, let's do it. If you want to do it, let's do it. And we could do it. We'll start the same time. The day they start, we can start. And we'll end the same day they end. When they take, and we'll do it every day. When they take a rest day, we can take a rest day. When they have these challenging days, like when they do the mountain climbs, like the Alpe d'Huez or whatever, we'll do something challenging on those days. And the first year, like, people would comment on the blog, like, okay, I'm in. And I kept track of it. It's so funny. There were we had so few people. I think we had about 13 people the first year. No, 16 spinners. And then in 2007, we had 138 spinners. And in 2008, over 400. We moved it to Ravelry. I was hosting it on my blog. And then we started doing prizes. It started growing. I got more moderation. I was still doing it for the first few years I was running it. We had prizes. People would donate prizes for random. We do random draw and give out prizes for participants, and it just started blowing up year after year.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I became just completely uninterested in it. Once it got really big, I thought, I'm out. I didn't really want to.
To go from 16 people, then to 138 people, then to over 400 people. I don't know if you even. I don't know how many people participate in Tour de Fleece now.
That's a great question. I don't know. There's, tens of thousands, because it's not just on Ravelry anymore. It's
everywhere.
It's its own thing. It's taken off in a way that I can't define. People just do it in their own way. And that was always the point. Even the first year I said, here are some guidelines, not rules. There's no rules. There's just guidelines. Make it your own. I always wanted it to be a thing that belonged to the people, not to me. I didn't feel proprietary on it. I didn't want to own it or control it or sell it or make it trademarked, or all of that stuff just didn't feel right. It felt like a thing that should just be out there in the world. Make it your own. It's a spin along. Have fun. If you want to, however you want to do it is appropriate.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that initial idea is really just to like combine your love of spinning, your love of cycling, and to give yourself almost like these, sometimes we need boundaries of our creativity, right? Like we're going to work to a certain kind of limit. So we're going to work from this day until this day. And then this day we're going to do something really hard. And this day we're going to do something challenging. And this day we're going to take a rest. And it's almost like there's a structure and format that's already provided for you to also do your passion or your challenging craft or your challenging whatever. In this case, it happens to be spinning, right?
That's right.
I also remember.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you. I insist.
Yeah. Also, like looking at your first initial ideas around the idea that like they spin, we spin, and just having it be really relaxed and fun. That was the initial guidelines for everything, right? Just like no rules, just spin and have fun.
Have fun. And yes, I was just remembering originally, I think I had this idea because in the tour, I'm trying to remember. Okay, so in the real tour, they have these different colored jerseys, right? So like the yellow is the overall winner, and so like you could wear yellow when you win. Like that never really took off. And there's the polka dot jerseys for the mountain climbers, and the white is for the rookie, and they have this green is for the sprinters. And so I was thinking you could have these categories, like if you want to challenge yourself, like as a rookie, like try something new that you've never done before. If you want to mountain climb, like try something like, or sprint, like do lace, do something really thin, or a mountain climb, do like a lot of yarn, like here are some suggestions. If you're stuck trying to think of something, well, what am I going to do? Here are some prompts.
Yeah, I think that those are all great ideas. I know that I did not know the history behind Tour de Fleece. And for a past number of years, we've done we called it the unofficial Tour de Fleece, because we would just sort of try new things and try different things. And there was sort of a feeling like we were all concerned about having to produce like copious amounts of yarn. So we tried to tell people like, oh no, it's not about spinning like thousands of yards of yarn. It's really about just like enjoy. Maybe it's just as much as a daily habit of spinning 10 minutes a day, because sometimes that can be challenging for people, right? So whatever it is, whatever aspect of spinning that you want to get something out of, then this is sort of the time when we can collectively do that. Sort of over the years, after it got to 400 plus people and then more people and more people, like what did you notice? What was surprising to you about sort of how things evolved or changed over the years?
Well, a few things immediately became apparent is because originally we did have people register, if you're going to participate, you had to sign up. And at that point, it became apparent to me that who wants to keep track of that? Like, I immediately felt like, let's stop doing that. And then the administration became difficult. We had a team of admins, and not everyone was agreeing on everything, and that became less fun. And then also, how can I put this? The prizes, there's hard feeling as soon as you start offering prizes, then you introduce an element of hard feelings, entitlement, all kinds of strangeness enters the fray. Then the idea became, well, you know what? Maybe if you're going to participate, maybe we're done facilitating prizes, and that if you're going to be on a team sponsored by a yarn company or a fiber company, they can handle the prizes individually, just look, or maybe don't do it for the prizes, do it for your own enjoyment. So we had to get out of the prize game. It was too many people and too much coordination, or like someone would say they're going to give out a prize and then not do it. And, that. And then there was then the drama came in. When you start dealing with lots and lots of people, the threads in the forums that, somebody would say something to make someone angry, or I don't know. Then all this other stuff came in, and then we had to step in. And there was a drama a few years ago. I'm technically still like a admin or a moderator or whatever of the group in Ravelry, but I really am hands off. I don't have anything to do with it. There have been different admins and moderators through the years, and they've all been great. And I'm grateful that they do it, that they handle it. But occasionally I've been called in to like settle something, or I just do it because I don't like, sometimes occasionally there's been someone steps in and starts moderating with an iron fist, and I just don't like it. And I've just come in and I've said, nope, we're not doing it this way. We're going to be relaxed, and this is all about having fun. We're not. So.
Yeah, I think that those are where all the challenges come in, right? When you're dealing with, you're managing and navigating such a huge community. It sounds like it became like so many people and so many different backgrounds and different perspectives and different ideas and different opinions. Of course, that's going to be definitely difficult to navigate. And for you to be able to come in and sort of almost set the tone of, this is the culture, this is how we do, this is how we treat others, and this is how we're going to enjoy spinning. I think I can definitely see how sort of like the administration and the taking care of like the business end of things is much more challenging. And I don't know, did you continue to spin for all of those Tour de Fleeces?
I did for many. And lately I have not been spinning, and I miss it. I've been thinking every year, I always think, ooh, I should do it again this year. And it's funny, I always feel a little sheepish because I'm not a very good spinner. I still have never properly learned. I've never taken a class. I've been a student of the School of SweetGeorgia for a few years now, and there's so many classes, and I think I should go back to square one and start over and just learn. But you know what? It's not learning. It's almost like I have to unlearn because I've taught myself some bad habits probably, and it's a little overwhelming. I still have my Louette S10. I only have that one wheel. I think I still have that heavy spindle. I would like to get, a nice lightweight spindle at some point. I actually at some point invested in a e-spinner. Mm-hmm. I have some physical limitations now that I didn't have then. I have since become disabled over the last few years, and it would be difficult for me, I think, to sit at a wheel or a drop spindle for very long. And that's why I got the e-spinner. Mm-hmm. So I think I could give it a go. I just haven't.
You haven't tried the e-spinner yet? Haven't taken it out of the box yet?
I have tried it,
yes.
And it went so fast. It's kind of like a sewing machine, and how I like hand sewing. It was like, whoa, this thing flies. And so I was a little scared of it, and I put it back in the box to be looked at later.
Yeah. Wow. I would love to, if you're at the moment where you're like interested, you're miss spinning, and it would be, you have some of the tools that are available, and I think it would be nice to be able to give that a try and give that a go. And I think that you're talking about going back to the beginning and unlearning mistakes, or starting from scratch and learning from the beginning. I feel like you already know how to spin, and there's not really like always a right way or a wrong way to do all these things. And as long as you're getting twist and you're getting yarn that you like and it feels good, and part of it is just like the feeling of that fiber through your fingers as you draft it. That's the fun part. And then seeing the colors twist, and that's kind of a fun part. And just being able to bring the joy back into just the act of making inch by inch, like those inches of yarn, I think, would be lovely. Just such a nice feeling.
That's a good point. I mean, I could just spin the way I know how to spin for now, and then see what happens.
Yeah. Maybe something to try.
Something to think about.
So if sort of the past couple of years you haven't been really spinning, but you're still obviously making things and interested in craft and interested in wanting to do things, what has sort of captured your attention sort of over the past couple of years? Like, you've gone through the spinning and you're like, done that, and now what else is sort of happening?
Yeah, I like to think that I'm open to things. I experienced a bit of burnout with knitting. I just was so hyper fixated on knitting for so many years, like 20 years. It was a daily driver, and I burned out a little bit on it, although it's still there. So I got interested a little bit in crochet. Like you said, you've seen me crochet, and I've been doing that for the last few years a bit more, and I've been enjoying that. And embroidery and a little bit of cross stitch, which is new. I've only done a couple pieces of that. And drawing has come back. Drawing was actually my first love. I would say I didn't even mention that before, but drawing and painting and stuff, that's actually what my degree is in school. Like I did some art school, I did some traditional school, and my degree is in painting and printmaking. Mm-hmm. Oh. But that killed my love of art. Like, going to traditional school for it was such a formal approach that by the time I was done with it, I was so burnt out on it that I completely stopped. All I did was doodle after that, just doodling. And then, I say one of the things that really changed everything. I am 54 years old. When I was 45, I was diagnosed autistic. And that changed everything for me. It made my life so much better in every way. I always suspected something was there. In fact, in the 90s, I tried to get a diagnosis. I read a book by Temple Grandin called Thinking in Pictures. And I thought, whoa, she's kind of describing me, her life experience. I related to a lot of the things she was talking about. But at the time, it was called Asperger's syndrome, which now has been folded into ASD. Anyway, at least in America, who knows? Things change all the time. At the time, it was thought you can't have Asperger's if you have empathy. And my empathy score is really high. I cry at everything. If you feel, I feel. And my empathy quotient is really high. And also autism is hard, especially in the 90s, was hard to diagnose in girls because my social masking was pretty good. And so he said, basically, you seem like you've got it, except you're able to empathize and you're able to socialize. So I don't know. I don't think you have it. Thanks. So many more years of suffering followed. And regardless, times changed. And I got a very quick and easy diagnosis at 45 because things have changed. And so now I'm like, hey, after feeling like a broken person for 45 years, I now feel free. And I'm not broken. It's just I'm wired differently. And the world isn't really set up for folks like us. But, there's giant communities of people like me, and it's okay. So now what I learned is that art school is just different. I can make the kind of art I want to make and not have to explain, because so much of it was for your senior thing, you have to make a cohesive collection, and you have to, 90% of it is explain it. Explain your influence, explain why it goes together, explain the story, explain. And that's the part where I'm failing. I don't want to explain. I want to create. You as the person looking at the art, you interpret it however you want to interpret it. I want to keep that part to myself. I was 20 years old. I didn't really have the verbal skills to explain it. And I can yammer on forever, but I'm not always the most articulate with mouth words. I can write way better than I can talk. So I'm back to making art. That's all I want to say. And I'm loving it. I'm drawing, and I want to start doing more. I've been scared of paint for all these years, but now I'm ready to dip into watercolor or whatever. And my drawings, I'm filling up sketchbooks like crazy. So that's another thing I've been doing. But yeah,
because it kind of it comes full circle, right? If you said that your original sort of medium is painting and printmaking, and then to go through all of these other crafts and then learn to spin, and it's tactile and it's color and it's working with form and all sorts of different things until you get back to the point where then you're coming back to drawing and art and being able to do that. I think that is so fabulous, so wonderful that you're able to find that again and to find passion and joy and creativity in this way. And especially since it makes you feel more free and it makes you feel more and more like yourself, really, right? Yeah. I think it's interesting that you were writing a blog and you were saying you're better at writing than maybe verbalizing some of the things that you're thinking about. And so, back at the beginning, writing about these things on a blog, I think is really interesting, being able to describe your creative process, in the form that feels most comfortable, I think is really great. I don't know if you still write now in order to sort of support your observations about your art practice now.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of writing behind the scenes. It's tough. I have multiple illnesses going. It's unfortunate that I've sort of been slipping down this illness track. I've got some chronic illness, and one of them is this neuroimmune condition that sort of mimics MS, and it's causing brain inflammation and cognitive dysfunction and lots of brain fog, in addition to like the physical, fatigue and pain. So unfortunately, I'm having problems. I get fatigued when I write now too. Like my brain just starts to go, you're done. You need to rest. It's kind of like having a concussion or something.
Yes.
It's like you get a little tired. So I don't know. I'm trying. I spend a lot of energy just trying to get healthy. And I remain optimistic. It's funny. I had so much depression and anxiety, and then getting the diagnosis helped a lot with that. And then just researching happiness, I just kind of hit this wall where I'm like, well, surely there's got to be a path. And it's such a well-studied and researched topic that, yes, this is something that people study, happiness. And so I looked at the list of like, there's top 10 ways to get happy. And a lot of them are within reach. You can do them, and it's across the world, regardless of your, religion or wealth or status or all these things. There are things that are universal to human beings. And so I just started implementing some of them into my life, like meditation, having a creative pursuit is on there, the things that we do, which some of them are a form of meditation, knitting and spinning. Tell me, have you sat at a wheel and spun yarn? That's not a form of meditation. You in yoga, they say, one of the definitions of yoga is being so quiet you can hear the voice of God. That's like a meditation, right? Whatever God means to you. So to me, if as much time a day as I can spend in the creative pursuit is so healing, and just through the connections we make, when we find our people, and through the school, I've been finding people. We're all so different, but we're all the same. We're all in this, doing this same act for our own reasons, but the journey, it's like it's uniting us. And we wouldn't want to be the same, right? Like a friend of mine said, if we were all the same, restaurants wouldn't have menus. We don't want to be the same, but.
Yeah, I think, like you're talking about, you're drawing, you're making things, you're making your projects, maybe you're crocheting a hat in the moment when I happen to see you on a call and things like that. And we've talked about this, at the studio with our team too, about like sort of what is the meaning of the things that we're making. And sometimes not even necessarily about the thing that you've made, but it's the fact that you showed me Tunisian crochet on a video and then I was inspired, or that you were doing cross stitch on a call and other people in the school have picked up cross stitch now. There's cross stitch projects all over the place, and talking about the diamond painting.
Oh yeah, I started doing that too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the diamond painting. It's so funny.
So we just never realize, like,
you never
what?
know.
Yeah, you never know how you're gonna reach someone, or how you're gonna touch someone, or affect someone else's life profoundly. And I think that it might be almost 20 years now. And I know that you said like you haven't gone back to look at that first blog post in like almost 20 years now. But just realizing that like one thing that you created, which is to write that blog post and to put out an idea into the world, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Like, you just think about how that has affected the lives of so many people. I think that that's absolutely incredible. Like, what a movement.
That's pretty cool.
Right? Yeah.
I'm proud of myself for not getting too attached to that. I love that it exists, and I really love that this Tour de Fleece exists, and that all these people are doing it, and that it means whatever it means for them. I love that. And I also love that this is not my business, that it's not become my whole identity and become my, like, trademark. I love that I'm still growing and evolving and looking for whatever it is I'm looking for. And people it's just make it your own. If you want to spin, you spin. And I certainly got a lot out of it. I had so much joy, and I still have a box at the heart of the Tour de Fleece, my parents were still living in Hawaii. They sent me, it's incredible. There's a merino farm on Kauai where they were living. I don't know what's going on there. They sent me a box. I have several pounds of, I don't know how many kilograms of merino wool from these Hawaiian sheep that to process or to have processed. It's still just waiting. It's 20 years old now. It's just sitting sealed. Mm-hmm. It's such a beautiful memory of all of that. Like it was such a beautiful time. And I think there's some 20, like that. I was young. So now someone out there can be young and get really passionate about spinning and own it, do it, get into it. It's super fun.
Mm-hmm. I do love your perspective on how like it didn't become your identity. You're not like the Tour de Fleece girl. Like you had that thing and you created it, and then you still have your own very personal creative practice. Like that's within you, and then it's very personal. So yeah, I'm super happy for you. I'm very happy for you.
Thanks.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming today and giving us your time and sitting with me and chatting with me about all of these things from the past 20 years. I was so curious and just really interested to get to know you more, because having just met you, you're like if you're on my screen on my computer, and just to get the chance to like chat more and learn more about you and all of your history, where you've been and where you're going. Thank you for being a part of the community and being a part of the school and sharing your passion and your joy with everyone here. And just, like I said, you just never realize whose lives you affect. And so I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Oh, Felicia, thank you. It's been a joy to talk, and I hope I wasn't too out there. I really love being a part of the school and being a part of whatever it is you're putting out. I'm sticking around because it's just, how could I not? You keep generating so much incredible content, and I love watching what you're doing and making and creating, and I feel like a moth to your flame. I have to stay buzzing around. It's just incredible to be a part of it. So thank you. Thanks for including me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Star.